everybody. This is Becky Liggero for CoinGeek.com. I am here today with Jack Pitts, the co-founder of SLictionary here in Zurich. Thank you so much for joining me, Jack.
Thanks for having me, Becky. It's great to be here. Always good to talk to you.
Absolutely amazing. And you were on Kurt Wucker's panel today on micropayments. Fantastic information that you shared with everybody. And you had a really cool quote that I actually tweeted for the world to see.
Great.
And it was something like, Bitcoin is a computational commodity. And I think a lot of people often focus on the crypto rather than the data side. Can you just elaborate on this statement of yours?
Yeah, thanks. So what I meant by a computational commodity is I think in the general cryptocurrency world, many people have overly focused on this money concept and that it's a coin or a currency. But in history, most things that are money become money because they're first a commodity. So you take, for instance, like gold and silver. The coins came around 600 BC, but kings and queens and artisans used silver and gold all the way back through the pharaohs and way beyond then. And so yes, it eventually became money, but it became money because we standardized the weight and the size and the stamp, and we basically created a protocol, right? The protocol was the coin. And in Bitcoin, the protocol is actually a data type that makes these transactions, and this is different from the cloud. So we have Amazon Web Services, we have Google, we have Apple iCloud, and this is sort of like gold and silver before it was commoditized. And so what Satoshi did was he set up a protocol called the Bitcoin protocol, and it's a set of rules to say, yes, we have information in the internet, in the cloud, but we're going to put it into compartments, kind of like containers happen in the shipping industry. And once you do that, you've converted an asset into a commodity. And commodities are like anything else, they're very repeatable. And that's what a Bitcoin transaction is. And I think if we focus on that, you'll start to actually understand what Bitcoin is. It's not just this thing we believe is money, and you think it's money, I think it's money. Oh, so we think the value's high. It's more like you have some family photos on a Bitcoin, and you don't want to get rid of that, right? Just like if you have a wedding ring, a gold wedding ring, and it's inscribed, right? You don't pawn that for the $50 that it's worth to buy dinner tonight, right? That's the last thing you spend because it has, maybe your husband or your loved one's inscription in there. And that's what Bitcoin should be. It's a place to conduct business, and it's a place to put data, and that data has a value that exceeds the value of the Bitcoin itself. And this dynamic, I think, is why it's a computational commodity, and we should probably be marketing it as such.
And I can't stop smiling because I keep hearing Jimmy Wynn say that Bitcoin is bit and it's coin. Bit is the data, coin is the money. And you're just underscoring that point perfectly, so thank you.
Yeah, we're underscoring bit more than the coin, because I think people get the coin part. Yeah.
Of course they do. But let's talk a bit about SLictionary, which is such a cool idea. And you really combine these elements together for this project of yours. So can you describe to our audience how you're using the superpowers of the BSV blockchain in order to power SLictionary?
Oh yeah, so the greatest thing about SLictionary and other apps that'll be like it is, let's say you want a definition, you don't want ads, you don't want to be bothered by, the ad companies are really good at figuring out what you like, and it's tricky. So if I can give you a clean experience where you get nothing but the thing you came for and charge you so little of an amount of money, where at the end of the year, the old coffee statement, like, well, you could get life insurance for the cost of a Starbucks every morning. Well, that's like $1,500. But I can offer you a dictionary for about 12 cents a year, to the point where you're flipping more money into the coin fountain at the local drugstore than you are spending on my dictionary. But to me, it's a huge amount of money, because if I can put 100 million people on that, it becomes a big amount. And even better, at SLictionary, we give 70% of the money to the person who writes the definition. So I'm just a platform taking a little bit to make the platform better, but the creative people who write the definitions and maybe even artistically affect people with the definitions, they make the money. And to them, that little 0.7 of a penny times millions of users, that could be a job. That could be a full-time salary. And so these little tiny amounts, when added together times tons of people, equals employment and jobs and lots of money.
Really cool, and a point that I love that you made in the panel was that Slictionary can actually help younger people, even kids, understand the concept and the powers of micropayments, which is what's so exciting in this space. Yeah, did you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, so actually our plan is to roll it out to the youngest people possible because frankly it's learning vocabulary, and you learn most of your vocabulary when you're young. And I mean young all the way from, say, first grade to high school or college, right? And if you're in a particular field, like medical field, there's a whole list of other vocabulary words you're going to need to know. And so I think what we become after we establish the substrate of the dictionary is become an e-learning platform. And so for schools, it is the best way to learn to actually write what you know, right? If it's one thing to know what the definition of, say, oxymoron is, but if you can explain or teach it to someone else, which is what you're doing by writing a definition as a kid, well, you're actually learning in a whole higher, better, longer term level. And to get paid for that on top of it, it's win-win-win.
How I love that. And Jack, talk to me about the future of Slictionary. What's on your agenda? What's in your plans?
Oh yeah, we're super excited because we think the product now, which you can go use, you can go to Word Bounty, for instance. At the panel, we put up a word for nano transaction for I think $12.21, which has some numerical fun parts to it. But go try your hand, right? Go to that definition, click on it, try and define what you think a nano transaction is, and if you get the most votes, then you'll make the $12. But as far as the future, we're only like 75% done because the last part is we're going to put your definition on a token. So it'd be like put your definition on a nickel and keep it in your purse. But the nice thing we're going to do for you is we're putting it on a STAS token, and that'll happen in the next couple months, and you won't be able to spend that nickel. So you'll write this definition that'll have this cash flow that you want to keep, like your ring, and you'll go to spend it, and the Wawa or the 24/7 store will say, I'm sorry, that we don't take those here. We don't even know what that is. But if you want to convert it back to money because your definition is not making money, maybe you're a kid and you just did it to learn, you can convert it back. And this conversion back and forth between token and the money is really what that first question you asked me, which is this data commodity. You're kind of going back and forth between the bit and the coin. And that STAS token we'll probably have out in the next couple months, and hopefully by the time you guys do another conference, we'll be ready to show you something really cool that will kind of blow your mind as to how it'll actually tell you how BSV gets its value.
I love that. I love that you use the phrase blow your mind. Can't wait for that, Jack. Also so happy that you were able to join us here in Zurich. It's such a pleasure to see you in person. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with our audience today.
Becky, it's been great. Thanks for having me and listening to everything we had to say.
Wonderful. And thank you guys so much for watching. This is Becky Liggero with Jack Pitts. Thank you for watching CoinGeek.com.
Hi, it's Jimmy Nguyen, founding president of Bitcoin Association. I'm inviting you to the 8th CoinGeek conference. CoinGeek is coming back to the Big Apple, New York City. Join us October 5th through 7th at the Sheraton New York Times Square Hotel in Manhattan. You'll learn how the BSV blockchain is transforming all industries. With its massive scalability, BSV can power efficient payments down to the micro and nano level, and data applications of all types for enterprise, government, and consumers. After so many years of just hearing about the promise of blockchain technology, it's time to see some real uses and real value. Registration is now open, so get your tickets early and stay tuned for more information about CoinGeek New York. BSV Blockchain. It's about time.